What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reality Theory. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Um, it's my understanding it was the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. Is that right?
Yesterday,
Yesterday,
yep.
yeah.
July 20th, 1969.
1969,
Great number.
the year of love. Isn't that what it was? The era of love or the year of love,
Every year's
something
love
like
for
that.
me.
All those
Hippies, tree
hippies,
huggers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah. So the 50th anniversary of the moon landing.
Which which did happen, by the way.
Yeah.
All these fuckers on YouTube that say it didn't happen and they have all this proof can go fuck themselves because we went to the moon. We were there.
I think the most common thing that I've heard uh, from people trying to disprove the moon landing, or at least it's been the most common thing that I've seen. People talking about the flag. The flag. What was it? The flag's waving. Well, how can the flag wave? There's no atmosphere on the moon, and there's no wind. So that's to me, that's the most common.
Well, they've had
That's the most common thing that people come up
and the
with.
thing is too that flag is not made like this flag is. It's not cloth. It's made of special material, and they've had numerous scientists. Neil deGrasse Tyson. What was that guy's name you were talking about?
Oh, Michio Kaku.
He was talking to me of all these scientists that they explain why it happened. I'm not 100% sure on why it happened, but while it's waving, they're touching the thing. They're touching the bottom of the pole and pushing it around. Things are gonna move if you put a force on it.
Yeah,
No matter if there's an atmosphere or not, shit's gonna move. Okay, and they try to argue, well, the lighting's wrong here, this is wrong there.
yeah. I've heard people talk about shadows and this and that, and well, what's that right there, and talking about all kinds of
And
crazy
these people
shit.
have no idea. I mean, you've got some knowledge on cameras and how what's it called, exposure works and all this crap. Things are not the same on the moon as they are on the Earth.
No,
Things are going to come out differently.
yeah,
The camera technology back then was a lot different. They had to make these cameras to make it through the atmosphere to handle radiation. And that's the other thing I heard too. People with well, there's the Van Allen belt that goes around the Earth, and that it's a big belt of radiation. Okay, first of all,
what were they saying that
that we
nobody
that,
could survive?
that we can't make it through the Van Allen belt because it's radiation.
Oh, okay, okay.
First of all, there's numerous types of radiation, not just one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand. Most normal people, the average person, doesn't know enough about physics to disprove this to begin with. So
No.
what they're going on is are things that they hear, but they're only hearing half of it or a small portion of the fact, and so they kind of get confused or they don't understand it fully. So
Well, yeah, but like the whole, like it says, it's a belt. It's not surrounding the entire Earth. So there's a couple things here. First of all, it's a belt. There's certain parts of this belt which are wider than the others. So what they do is when they map this out and they do their math, they find the shortest travel. They find the shortest way to travel through this belt, and at the same time, this radiation is a lot weaker than the radiation you're getting when you get an X-ray at the dentist or you go to the doctor.
well,
And
yeah, I mean, obviously,
it is. It's a lot. It's a lot weaker, and they're traveling through it at almost 14,000 miles an hour.
yeah,
They're not spending that much time in there. They're protected. And people, well, it's just like tinfoil and it's like really thin. There's certain radiations out there. I can protect myself with this piece of paper. I learned about this in the service. If there was I could literally make a suit out of paper and it'll protect me from a certain radiation. So they made it through the fucking belt. They made it to the moon, and they landed on it. And the other argument was too, well, how come there's no stars in the pictures? Once again, comes back to exposure. You have the sunlight bouncing off the white and gray surface of the moon, and that camera's picking up all that exposure. It's not going to pick up all the little stars and lights in the background. It's going to pick up the brightest light there, and that's why the suits look bright, because the sun is reflecting off the moon. That's reflecting onto the suits. So all these people that I don't know much about cameras either, but to me it's like, yeah, the camera's going to pick up, because if they were to sit there and try to get a picture of the stars, shit would come out all fucked up.
yeah.
It wouldn't look right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've heard uh, so many different theories to try to disprove the moon landing. But the funny thing to me is that I don't know how to explain it. So people, uh, they want to talk about how it just wasn't possible at that time. Technology wasn't advanced enough.
Oh, I've heard that plenty of
There was
times.
no way that they could do this. But what you don't understand is the technology that the government has is not the same technology that we use on a daily basis. There are things that they have that they know about that are not released to the public, and if there is somebody in the public who happens to figure it out, shit happens. They tend to they tend to forget or disappear or
Or say they were lying about it, or
said they were lying about it or whatever. I mean, the government, people don't realize how powerful the government is and the shit that they have. I mean, I know I sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist, but but
I see what you're saying
but
though.
realistically, I mean, think about it. Think about it. The government has secrets. They have secrets. They have to have secrets. They can't tell the public everything.
No,
So just think about that. What is it that they have or that they know that they're not telling the public or releasing to the public? I mean, you have to understand that. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah,
shit
but I'm
going
saying the
on behind the
technology, but
scenes.
people, just because you have a fucking, the Apollo 11, it was at that time was the biggest rocket ever made. Werner von Braun was a Nazi, and he was one of their rocket scientists. After the war was over, we took him, and he's one of the founders of NASA. He started. I mean, he's the reason we got to the fucking moon. He
Yeah.
was one of the brightest scientists. We had us in Russia had the brightest scientists in the world working on things to get us out of our atmosphere.
Yeah.
These people think, oh, there's not enough technology. What kind of technology do you need to shoot yourself into space? You just need a powerful enough rocket, enough force to counteract the force that's pulling you to the Earth to get to the moon. That's it.
Well, I think it's as far as shooting a person into space. I mean, yes, you do need some sort of propulsion system to get you there in a shell to put it in, but you have to be able to protect the person that's in the rocket as well, so that they survive the trip. Um, but aside from that, there's really not a lot to it. I mean, there's a lot of math that's involved, as far as trajectory
Oh,
and
tons of
you know,
math.
okay, so now you shot yourself into space. Well, how the fuck are you going to get back? I think that's really the biggest issue. It's not so much getting there as it is
Getting them back safely.
getting them back safely. So, um, but I mean, the technology was definitely there. I
It's
mean,
no, it was definitely there. And the thing is, look, just the suits alone that they took with them into space had material that people never heard of. It was, material that they combined. I mean, they had layers upon layers upon layers and like portable ACs on the back and water too. I mean, it's not like they went up there in a fucking jumpsuit and were just bouncing around on the moon.
well, the other thing too is that a lot of people, I think a lot of people tend to assume that it was, you know, this was just a random thing. Like, oh, we decided we're going to go to the moon and we're going to do it next year. So it took them a year to come up with all this crap and send somebody to. They don't understand. This took, I mean, like decades of thought and preparing and creating. They had to invent a lot of shit to make this happen. It wasn't that, like you said, like the materials, they weren't just readily available. They had to invent
Yeah.
special materials in order to get them there. The computers, they had to write programs that didn't exist. They had to invent computers that didn't exist. There were a lot of things that went into this, and it wasn't just, a year-long project where they said, hey, let's try to go to the moon. Let's try to put somebody on the moon. And a year later it happened. That's not how it worked.
No, and you had multiple companies all around the entire world that were working with NASA to create
Yes.
the Lunar Excursion Module, the LEM, the rockets. I mean, every little piece and component was built by somebody. So it's not like NASA was just sitting there thinking of everything on their own. They contracted this shit out.
And there were a lot of failures.
There were tons of failures. I mean, you started off with Gemini, you started off with Mercury, you started off, then you went to Apollo. Then after Apollo, we got this, the space shuttle, and that was actually one of the worst things they could have done. I mean, look at Russia; they're still using, and I forgot the Soyuz, and it's pretty much the same thing as the Apollo, and they're going up all the time, and they're always successful.
Yeah.
But no, we had to change our ways. It's like just because they wanted to make something reusable, but then look what happened. We lost 2 space shuttles in the process.
Yep.
If they just stuck with the Apollo, with the I forgot with the Saturn V rocket, we would have been fine. Now we're paying Russia so they can take us up to the space station.
Yeah.
Which is fucking pathetic. And another point, if anyone wanted to disprove that we weren't on the moon, Russia would have been the first one to do it.
Yeah, no, look, these other countries, it was a race. It was who can get there first. So
I mean, they beat us into space.
right.
They had the first man in space. They had the first animal in space. They had the first person to orbit the Earth. This and that. We had the first spacewalk, and we had the first person to the moon.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to disprove it, they could have.
They would have.
Oh, they would have. But they had scientists tracking our spacecraft to the moon, and they were like, "Fuck, they beat us."
Yeah. But that's just it, though. They would love nothing more than to disprove us. So if there was if it didn't happen, we would have known about it.
They would have done it. They would have said so.
Not to mention the failed missions. There were missions before that were supposed to land on the moon and didn't. And the public was notified, hey, this is a failure.
Apollo 13.
We didn't make it. So, why would they not tell us that this one didn't make it? Okay, well, shit, we fucked this one up too. We're gonna try next time. I mean, it's not. They had no reason to lie about it. There's no reason to lie about it.
No.
I mean, what did they have to gain? The government was going to continue to pump money into the.
Well, that's the thing. People were saying that, the only reason we faked it was to kind of show Russia, hey, we're superior in this. Give up. We're better than you.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's ludicrous because Russia would have kept trying regardless.
And they stopped trying. They haven't sent anyone to the moon.
No, but they're still going into space. They're not going to stop.
Oh yeah, no, they're not going to. No,
they're not going to stop going into space. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop trying to put people into space. They're going to continue to do it. So there's just.
Nowadays too, it's not like it's not Russia, United States, but you got Italy, you got Israel, you've got China, you've got Germany, you have everybody basically just working together, and it's NASA's not really.
Well, and now you have the private sector too.
And you got SpaceX. You have Elon Musk. He's doing he's got that rocket that can take off and fucking land on a platform. It's like, dude, that's insane. But now they're trying to obviously the next mission is going to Mars.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, why haven't we gone back to the moon? There's nothing left for us to do over there.
There's nothing on the moon. There's nothing there. It's a giant.
We already proved we could go.
It's a giant fucking rock.
Yeah.
What do you want to do there?
Yeah.
What is there to explore?
Well, the only thing they're going to start doing, Trump said he does want to send people back to the moon, but if they want to travel to Mars, they're going to have to set up
like a substation.
Substation on the moon for like supplies and stuff. That way they're not.
And that's fine.
Yeah, that way they're not launching off everything at one time. They can do little trips here and there.
Right.
Launch a lighter spacecraft into space because obviously the heavier it is, the more fuel you need. So they figure, okay, we'll stop at the moon or have something come up, we'll pick it up, and then we'll go.
Right.
Because they're already on the trajectory, they can just float on and do what they got to do.
Yeah, but my point was that other than something like that, there's no point in exploring the moon any further. There's nothing else there.
No.
The next step would be to go further. Where else can we go? Okay, we can go to Mars. Okay, after Mars, then where can we go? I mean,
I think that's pretty much it for in the near future.
Well, for our lifetime, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to go to Saturn or any like.
Not in our lifetime. But my point is that you keep advancing.
Oh, of course.
You don't. Okay, guys, we made it to the moon. That's enough space for us. We're done.
No. Yeah,
Good job. It's a giant rock.
No, I mean
We figured it out.
we've only explored a dust particle in comparison to what the universe actually is, or our solar system for that matter.
I mean, yeah. I mean, forget about the universe or even the
Just the
galaxy.
solar system alone.
The solar system alone, we've only explored just a tiny fraction. I
An
mean,
inch out of a football field.
there's still things about our planet and the way that it moves and reacts and interacts with the rest of our solar system that we understand. I mean, there's still so much that we don't understand.
Well, there's still debates on how we got water on the planet.
Right.
How life got here. They think we were forgot what the word is.
But
But
that's
basically, there were some organisms on a meteorite that came from another planet, and that's how we got here. So it's like technically we're aliens.
that's my point though, is that there's still so much that we don't know about our own planet that, but we want to go and
Oh, explore more, yeah.
explore more. It's like, okay, and I agree, we should explore more, but at the same time, we need to come to some realizations and some actual factual data on what's going on here.
Well, I mean, yeah, because I mean, a lot of at first with the space program, when it first started off, it was all about military power. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
It was all about military power. Then when the space shuttle went up, there were advancements in technology. Things were invented. The Velcro came from there. So many things we use in our daily lives were invented from NASA and from the space program.
Out of a need.
Out of a need, but then we actually end up using it in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
So now they're up there doing, tests on plants, medicine. So I mean, there's a reason for us to be up there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's good to explore, and we
Yeah.
do need to advance and explore more. But like I'm saying, at the same time, we still don't know where we came from. We still don't know why we're here. There are questions that need to be answered about our existence here and our planet. So we need to, at the same time, parallel with exploring other things. I mean, it's always good to advance, but at the same time,
Oh yeah.
we still need we need some questions answered about what's going on here
Oh, of course.
and what's happened here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I mean, it's difficult. I mean, and we may never know how we got here or why we're here, or
I don't think we ever will.
I mean,
And sometimes things are better left unanswered.
I think the only way that we would get some of those answers is if someone more advanced, more seasoned, told us what happened. Oh
And
yeah, we've been watching. We've had an eye on that planet for millennia. We know exactly how you guys got there.
yeah, we've been watching you fuck the place up,
Basically,
technically. But like I said, back to this whole thing, we were fucking there. I mean, just what was it? I think 3 or 4 years ago, China sent a satellite around the moon, and it took pictures of all of our landing sites, all the LEM pads that are there, the flags, the lunar rover, all the tracks we left there. And because that was one of the things people were, all these conspiracy people were saying, well, go take some pictures and then prove it to me. So China did. They got pictures. Oh, those are fake.
but that's
It's
the
like,
problem.
motherfucker.
Though. Look,
No matter what we do,
The only-
it's not gonna please them.
the only way that people
Is if they went
the,
to themselves.
the only way that people like that believe things is if they see it firsthand with their own eyes. Otherwise, no matter what you do or what you say to try to prove it, they're going to say that it's fake. Well, no, I don't believe
Even
that.
if you
That's
took
fake.
them up there, they'd say, "Oh, I'm still on Earth. This is like a fucking ride or something. You guys drugged. Something's not right." They would.
Well, you'd have a few of those crazies, but
No, you would.
But the vast majority of people, if they saw it firsthand,
But I mean,
okay,
but it's like, why would you deny that we were? That was one of the greatest accomplishments in history, and you're gonna deny that we fucking went there.
I think that's why. I think that's why they're denying it, is because they feel like, okay, this is one of the greatest accomplishments. That right there is reason enough to fake it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're getting all this praise and all this recognition for going to the moon. The praise and the recognition alone are enough to enough reason for you to fake it.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
know,
yeah.
and I think that's where a lot of them are coming from. But I mean, to me, I mean, logically, to me, it just doesn't make sense to, if you're gonna go through that much trouble to fake something like that, why wouldn't you just go through
Actually doing
a
it.
little bit more and actually do it?
What's that?
Because I mean, that's something that would be hard to fake. I mean, there's not, I, I mean, and obviously, I haven't been everywhere in the world, but off the top of my head, I can't think of a place in the world with terrain that comes anywhere close to that. So if it doesn't exist anywhere on Earth, that means you'd have to manufacture it. Do you know what it would take to manufacture something like that? I mean,
like I said,
I mean, it can be done, but that's a lot of shit. I mean, you look at movies. I mean, movies nowadays, the special effects
it's all CGI though. It's not
all
real.
fucking crazy. But you know, if you want to say that we didn't have technology, that the technology wasn't good enough to go to the moon back then, you think the technology was good enough to create something like that and fake it? I mean,
Well,
come
yeah,
on.
they're saying Stanley Kubrick, the guy that made, what was it, 2000 Leagues Under the Sea, or what movie that was. They're saying he's the one that.
I've seen his movies. It's great movies, and I mean, but it's not the same.
But even he said himself, it would be 100 times harder to fake it than it would to just actually go there.
That's my point. Yeah.
And then there was another guy that ran through how much film it would take to actually. I don't know how the film works, but he said it would be thousands of miles of film and all this shit just to make an hour's worth of that moon landing.
Yeah, because look, back then they were physically cutting film to piece together. It's not like today where everything's digital and you do it all on a computer. No, they were physically, like with scissors, cutting film,
taping shit together
to create films. I mean, that's how, that was their process. That's how it was done. There was none of this digital stuff that you could do that with. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, they couldn't fake it. And like I said, the other there's so many fucking the thing with these YouTube conspirators are they only there's 8 pieces of evidence that we weren't there. They all have the same 8 pieces. Not one of them can come up with something concrete that shows we weren't there. They all just take off each other's videos and say the same shit. There's more proof that we were there than there is that we weren't there.
Exactly.
Way more proof.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking absurd. I can't. I'm trying to. Like I said, I'm freaking tired today. But what's it called?
No, it's just. I mean,
well, that's what I was gonna say. The whole camera thing.
Yeah.
They said, well, when the lunar excursion module shoots off the moon, how is the camera following them? It's okay. There's a thing called a delay. There's a guy over at Johnson Space Center. They have a countdown from when the thing's going to take off. Say it's a 1.5-minute delay or 30 seconds. Before that thing shoots off, the guy presses a button, which makes the camera tilt up and follow it up into until it's out of view. So when that thing takes off, that 30-second thing counted down, and then it starts to follow it. People are, well, that doesn't work. Why not? Or how do they have a camera on the side of how did they get Neil Armstrong coming down the ladder? There's a fucking camera mounted there. Dumb shit. And people are trying to tell, I've had people, even I know, tell me, cameras can't make it through that radiation. They can't, they fucking built cases around them. They developed cameras for this reason. Like you said, they invented things.
Yeah.
It was possible.
Look, if a human can make it through, a camera can make it through.
Oh, easily. They could have surrounded it with they could have had it in a lead case until they got to the moon.
Yeah.
Or could have been surrounded by a thin lead case. I mean, that's what your vest is made of when you get an x-ray at the dentist, right?
Yeah.
Lead, it soaks in the radiation or bounces. I don't know how it works.
Idiots.
Well, they are fucking idiots. It's like you're doing a disservice to Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And, they were fucking pioneers. They fucking put their lives on the line.
All those guys, I mean,
all of them did. All the guys from the very beginning that just went up into space and tested, or even tested the planes to see how many G's a human could take, and I mean everything. They're all just they're all national fucking heroes in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and maybe this is just a personal thing for me, but while I do have a lot of respect for Buzz Aldrin and what the fuck's his name?
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong. Thank you. While I do have a lot of respect for them, for me, I have more respect for the guys that came before them, the ones who tried and failed, the ones that died during experiments, the ones that gave it all for those two to get to that point.
I agree with you.
For me, and like I said, that may just be a personal thing for me, but that's just how I feel. I have way more respect for those guys. While not to discredit what Neil and Buzz did, but I feel like the guys that came before them, the true pioneers, the ones that were really going into the unknown, because they had no idea what was going to happen if they were shot into a rocket that fast, or if what would happen when you get out of the rocket, when you're in space to spacewalk. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
At that time, because like I said, what we didn't know about Earth, we knew even less about space. And so nobody knew what was going to happen. Is it a vacuum? Is it is it full of radiation? Is it, is there wind? Are there,
Yeah, is it pressure?
Is there debris?
Yeah.
Nobody knew what was up there. So to me, those are the guys, the ones that went first to test things and to, the trial and error. I mean, those are the guys that I look up to,
Mm-hmm.
I still look up to Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, but more so the other guys. I mean, that's just
No, yeah, I mean, including the Russians too. I mean, they were the first ones to do it.
right. Yeah, I'm not just saying the
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, no, of
Americans,
course. Yeah, I mean,
but
they lost, and they lost.
but any of those guys.
Yeah. And they lost guys too.
A lot of people, and not just with space stuff, but with things in our everyday life, with cars and airplanes and products that you use on a daily basis, and all of these things, they all had to be tested. Things that were invented, nobody knew how they were going to work or what was going to happen. So those are the types of people that I tend to look up to and be like, damn, that took a lot of balls. I mean,
Oh hell yeah, it did.
I mean, you got to have some pretty big nuts to jump into a fucking rocket and get shot into space, not knowing what you're going into. I mean,
of course, yeah.
I mean,
And they almost didn't make it off the moon.
uh,
Neil Armstrong.
Neil
Yeah,
Armstrong and Buzz
people
Aldrin, yeah.
don't realize that. The button that they pushed for launch, he pushed the button in, and it fell behind the panel. And luckily, they sat there for a minute and they panicked, and Neil Armstrong took his pen out and was able to push the thing inside, and it launched them out.
Damn.
So they almost ended up staying on the moon forever, because there was no rescue missions back then. Even now, it would take months to organize and schedule a way to get up there and rescue people.
They should have had some duct tape with them.
They did carry duct tape.
Duct tape fixes everything.
They did carry duct tape.
But all those guys, you talk about problems and stuff with their missions. Most of those guys are engineers. A lot of those guys, especially a lot of the first guys going up, they weren't. A lot of them weren't pilots or there was no such thing as an astronaut at the time. A lot of them were just engineers.
Yeah.
And they were trained to be astronauts and go into space and go, to fly basically. Now, of course, you did have some pilot. I mean, you had to have somebody flying.
Oh no,
thing.
they actually had.
So
they had a lot of pilots.
So
but
they had
they
pilots,
also had degrees and engineering,
but even,
like you said.
But even pilots, a lot of those pilots are, have engineering backgrounds. They may not be engineers. They may not have an engineering
And
degree.
they were problem solvers back then too.
Exactly.
They knew how to handle chaos, how to
Yes.
handle when something went wrong, because
Exactly.
especially back then, things did go wrong, and it wasn't like, hey, okay, I got to call. No, you were there. You had to figure it out on your own.
Yep.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Neil Armstrong. I think he passed away. How many years ago? 2 years ago now.
Something like that.
And Buzz Aldrin's still out there. And do you see when he punched that reporter?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he had this guy chasing him around with a Bible, and he had a restraining order against this guy, and the guy kept chasing him around saying, "Pray on this Bible, swear on this Bible that you landed on the moon, blah blah blah." He said, "You're a fraud and you're a disgrace." And Buzz Aldrin turned around and punched him right in the face. And the guy tried to sue him, and he lost.
Yeah.
Because they were like, "Dude, you're harassing a fucking American hero,
Yeah.
and he in his 70s, and you wanna sue him? Fuck off."
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I mean, it does make you think. I mean, but ultimately,
I'm just saying,
I
just
mean,
look. I
I
mean,
think
when
they
you look
went.
at the footage and shit, it's no way to fake that crap back then. There's just not.
I mean, like I said, yes, was it possible? Of course, it was possible. Anything's possible, but the amount of time and money and energy that it would take to do that, you might as well just go, just do it.
Well, there were millions of people, millions involved in the space program. If any of them knew it was fake, not that many people could keep a secret.
It would have been. I mean, over the last 50 years, it would have been leaked somehow, some way.
No, you have all these people that have nothing to do with the space program, don't know shit about science, are the ones that saying we never went.
Right.
But you have all these millions of people that worked on this program from all countries, Russia included, tracking this thing, saying, "No, we were there."
Yeah.
But you got some douchebag sitting in his, in the basement, watching a YouTube video. "Oh God, we weren't there, and the Earth is flat. I know it."
Well, that's the other thing that cracks me up, those flat earthers. But we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand, but
But a happy anniversary to Apollo 11.
yes,
50 years.
50 years. Congratulations.
Yes. To Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin.
Yep.
You guys are heroes in my book. And we did go there. So any of you naysayers can go suck one.
Go eat a dick.
Yeah. A couple of them.
Yep. Well, like you said, happy anniversary.
Yep. And join us next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And we'll catch you next week.
Yep. Have
Bye.
a good one. Bye.